Okay, it's going. Recording, okay. So tonight we talk about a topic in Genesis, class number 12 in this series. And the topics will be Jacob, Rachel, Leah, and love. Fascinating subject. Rachel, Leah, Jacob, and love. So let's read a small section from Genesis together, so we will all be on the same wavelengths. Is Genesis chapter 29, just few verses. Who wanted to read it? Chapter 29, verse 1. We need to read it so everybody will understand the story.
I can read it here, Rabbi.
Yeah, okay, go ahead, read it.
Just let me know when to stop, okay?
Yes.
Yaakov then lifted his feet and went toward the land of the people of the east. He looked and saw well in the field, and behold, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying beside it, for from that well the flocks are watered. There was a large stone over the mouth of the well. When all the flocks would gather, the shepherds would roll the stone from the well's mouth and water the sheep. They would then return the stone to its place over the mouth of the well. Yaakov said to them, "My brothers, from where do you come?" They said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, "Do you know Lavan, the son of Nahor?" They said, "We know him." He said to them, "Is he doing well?" They said, "He is doing well. Behold, Rachel, his daughter, is coming with the sheep." He said to them, "The day is yet long. It is not yet time for the sheep to be gathered. Water the sheep and go pasture them." They said, "We cannot do so until all the flocks have gathered and the shepherds roll the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we can water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. When Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Lavan, his mother's brother, with the sheep of Lavan, his mother's brother, he stepped near and rolled the stone from the mouth of the well. He then washed the sheep of Lavan, his mother's brother. Yaakov kissed Rachel and cried in a loud voice. Yaakov told Rachel that he was a relative of her father and that he was the son of Rivkah. She ran and told her father.
All right,
When Lavan,
let's now skip and go just the last verse, verse 16.
okay, Lavan had 2 daughters. The name of the older one was Leah, and the name of the younger one was Rachel.
Another verse.
The eyes of Leah were tender. Rachel was of beautiful form and of beautiful appearance.
And last one, another verse. Do you have any Jacob loved? Go on.
Yaakov loved Rachel, and he said,
Okay, that's it. All
okay,
right, that's the story of the first. Thank you, Will. And this is a first encounter Jacob with Rachel. That's a famous story, but let's see what it says. So let's go to the beginning. And it says, Jacob lifted up his leg and he went. The rabbi asked here obvious question. Normally, the leg move us. Here it sounds like Jacob moved his leg. Jacob lifted his leg. So obviously everything came from his own initiate even on in Judaism. What a difference it is from the beginning of the parsha, because if you remember the beginning of the parsha, he just fled from Esau for his life. He was poor, he was robbed, he had no future, it was night, he slept on a stone on a mountain, Mount Moriah, and all he asked from Hashem, please give me bread and clothes, and let me come back at home with peace. He was worried about the future. He didn't know what would happen to him. And then, of course, he had the revelation of the letter dream, famous, and Hashem promised him a dream that he will protect him. Then he woke up, he made a vow, and now, after that, after having the vow and having the dream, a revelation that Hashem promised to protect him, he changed. Now it's completely different. Now he lifted his leg and he went. Yet, where did he go? He was supposed to go to Haran, to the place of his mother's birth. But the Torah said he went to the land of the ancient, of the east, Kedem. Kedem is actually the eastern. A better translation here in my Bible, Torah is eastern. So he went eastern. There was no map, no GPS, no ways. He couldn't find it. He just knew that he has to go east. He was barren. He went on foot. His clothes probably torn. He dusted. He lost his way. He didn't know where he's going. He ended up east. Have no clue where he was. Then the next verse, and he saw, and behold, there is a well in the field. Well, the simple explanation is there was a field. A field doesn't. It's a very very dry explanation. There was a field, another field in the well, another well in a field, like any other wells. There was no particular field. He ended up in a place where he didn't know where he was, and there was a well in the field. He didn't know to whom the well belonged. There was no clue, no sign, no name. That's the pshat. And that's the story. So a person comes from long way. Imagine he has to go all the Samaria. He has to go through the Galilee. He had to go through the southern Syria. And then he ended up without, and in the field, there was a well. And he saw the well. That's a simple pshat. But the rabbi, of course, injected here Vayar, and he saw that superfluous word. Oh, they injected here a lot of things that you saw as if in prophecy. For instance, I'll give you an example, a long list of things that he could have seen in prophecy. I'll read it to you shortly. The well with three herds of sheep. So the three herds of sheep are Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Well, and the well, the Midrash says, is Zion. The three sheep are the three holidays, the pilgrimage. The well, another Midrash says, is a temple. Well, because from the temple come out water or prophecy or whatever, Holy Spirit. Another Midrash, three herds, is a three Sanhedrin sitting the Temple Mount, because they water Torah to the entire nation, and so on. Or 3 herds. There are from Daniel. There are 4 kingdoms, and it was 3 of them. The 4th one is still in progress, whatever. So tons and tons of midrashim explaining what possibly you could see there in prophecy. None of those explanations fit the story. It's only midrashim that went on and injected their own view on the story. But the story simply said he saw a well in the middle, a well with no name, with another well like any other well in the sea. And what the surprising was that there were 3 herds, herd of sheep, waiting there, and there was a heavy storm. The Torah now explained, he didn't know that. The Torah explained that why there were 3 herds waiting there, because the stone on the mouth of the well was so heavy, they had to gather so many shepherds together could roll the stone out of the. This is to show that how heavy it was. That later on Jacob moved it in one hand. But that's the reason why they were gathering there. He didn't know that. He just sees some well and three herds waiting. So he comes to them, verse 4, and indeed he still doesn't know where he was. Like I forgot to say, one of the explanations of the heavy stone is it's a horror. Of course, all that, if you come across of those midrashim, you know how to put it. There are many midrashim like this that take it out of the context and put it as a prophecy or symbolic. But we stick to the simple story. So he comes to them with a lot of goodwill, brotherhood, and he says, "My brothers, where are you from?" Which means, where is this place? And to his surprise, they say, "Oh, we are from Haran." Haran is the place where he's supposed to end up. So he was going to the east. He ended up in Haran. That's the first surprise. So now he's waiting for him a second surprise. He asks them, "Oh, is that so? Do you know Lavan, the son of Nahor?" Which happened to be his mother, brother. That's the address he was going to. Do you know that? Do you happen to know Lavan? I mean, it's a huge area. You wouldn't expect the first people he meet to know Lavan. And lo and behold, they say, yeah, we know him. That's surprise number 2. So now waiting another surprise. He asks them, "Well, is he doing well?" So the answer of yes, he is doing well. And not only that, in a few minutes you will see Rachel, his daughter, is supposed to come here with her herd, sheep herd. So that's 3 surprises in one after the other. That's too much for him. He doesn't believe it. You see, you think they're fooling him. So he tells them, verse 7, Wait a minute, he says. Do you tell me that she is coming? I know that the day is still going on, and this is not the time when shepherds come to water the sheep, especially women. You know, you remember his mother, even his mother, Rebecca, when Eliezer met her, it was in the evening, at the time when women come out, he says. So it's still a day gone. It cannot be that she is coming. You're fooling me. And now he's getting kind of angry. He says, "Go on. Take the stone out. Water your sheep, and go to your pasture." The Midrash says he was thinking what? He was thinking they're actually waiting there, actually guarding the place from other shepherds. They wanted to keep the water for themselves. That for Jacob, it's not right. It's injustice. And here we come across to the point that we always said, that all the stories of Jacob, from the beginning to the end, all revolve around one topic: justice. If justice are painted with purple, so I can brush all the story with purple. He's fighting for justice, civil status. He's not fighting for God, like Abraham. He's fighting for his right, civil right to be recognized as the firstborn with Esau. That's a fight for status, for money, for prestige in the family. And then in a minute, he will fight against Laban, who cheat him with a daughter, given the wrong daughter. That's a civil issue. It's not God. And then he's going to fight with Laban because of compensation. He's working for him for years. He was not properly compensated. And then finally, when he come back to the land of Israel, his daughter Dinah is raped by the by the son of the mayor of the city Shechem. That's it. That's a civil order issue. So all the story of Jacob revolve around one issue: civil order, which is what? Noah commandment number 5. So if Abraham before him, all the story of Abraham revolve around fight against empire, grabbing land, his wife was abducted, everything about Abraham was around theft, number 4. You could brush them with a color green, let's say, all the story. Now we brush them with purple, and here's a clue. He's angry. Why are you sitting there and stealing the water from others? Go to your place, take the stone out, water your sheep, and go. He doesn't like them to sit there and guard the place from others. That's the Midrash. I call it the Midrash. So they answer him, wait a minute, that's not right. You don't understand the telling. We cannot remove the stone. It's so heavy, that's verse number 8. We need to wait until all the herd will be gathered, and together, I don't know how many of there will be 20, 30, who knows how many. Together, we can only then roll that stone out of the bottom. It's so heavy. You don't understand. Then we will water and go away. So you're wrong. It's not like an injustice. We cannot do it. So he comes down, and he's facing another 4th surprise. As he was speaking to them, the Torah says, verse 9, while he was speaking to them, They just mentioned the name of Rachel. Odenu medaber itam, while he was speaking with them. And Rachel is coming with the sheep of his father because she is a shepherd death, I call it a woman. Yeah, she is the one who take care of the sheep. That's the middle of the day. But she is coming. The moment he mentioned the name, she is coming. That was the last blow. If you now suspected that he has been fooled, that maybe it's not the place, maybe they're fooling him. Now when he see her, he understands that he came miraculously by God providence, by God GPS to the right place, right there. He ended up right where he's supposed to be. Because when he saw her, that's verse 10, when he saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, the father, the brother of his mother, and the sheep of Laban, the brother of his mother, and he stood up, he went forth, and he unrolled the stone, the heavy stone, like the Rashi says so easily, like a person remove a cork from a bottle. And he watered the entire sheep of Laban, the brother of his mother. Let's repeat it. When he saw, Jacob saw Rachel. If it was a Hollywood movie, I would have said, people would really said it, oh, this was the first love, the power of first love. Such a beautiful, he just saw her and he was in doubt with such enormous power. But the Torah doesn't say that. The Torah, yes, she was pretty for sure, very pretty. But the Torah 3 times mentioned the fact that they mentioned the brother Laban, the brother of his mother. So he saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his brother, and he saw the sheep which belonged to Laban, the brother of his mother. And then he watered the sheep of Laban. So 3 times the brother. So he understood here the miracle. He stood where he's standing there, across a sheep of where he's supposed to be, his family, his uncle, and that beautiful girl in front of him is his cousin, first cousin. And what else? He recalled, brother of his mother. His mother too met her groom by the well. So he understands there is a hint here from heaven. Heaven is matchmaking here. Heaven caused Rachel to come forward towards him, like Rebecca came forward toward Isaac. So everything is on his mind. And that overwhelmed him. Realizing the power of God to direct him in the right direction, to take care of him. So what was his response? 11. And he kissed Rachel, and he lifted his voice and he cried. Why did he cry? Again, if you look at the Midrash, full of prophecies, he cried because the temple destroyed. He cried because she's gonna die young. He cried because he was older and he lamented the fact he couldn't see her before. All this midrashim has nothing to do with a simple explanation. And there are many of them. The simple explanation is he cried for emotion, a gush of emotion. And you can say, thanksgiving to Hashem that led him to this miracle, to this point, love of Hashem. He cried, his heart was full of love Hashem and thanksgiving. And I would dare to say, he cried of love out of first, his first encounter with Rachel. The love from just a glance at her, and he knew that his soul is connected to her. He felt it. And not only that she was pretty, he understood that she is destined to be his partner for life, like Rebecca was for Isaac. All that overwhelmed him, and he cried. And I repeat it. He cried for thanksgiving and love of Hashem to bring him here, and love to the woman. He certainly loved her from the first glance. He loved her for the rest of her short life. And then he stood up, and all that is after he already watered the whole herd. He acted like Rebecca acted with Eliezer. Remember, Rebecca stood up and watered all the camels. He is now doing the opposite. He's now acting like Rebecca, his mother. He's watering all the sheep. That's also a signal, maybe to Rachel, that Rachel probably knew the story also. Kind of communicate between them on that level. And then he's 12, he tell her now openly who he was, that actually it was her father was his uncle, and he is a daughter of Rebecca, and she is impressed too. I know, I read many people write that out of the love of the first male, when he see the first the female, or the first that is he fall in love with her or want to attract her, he is empowered. So it's a custom in nature for a male to attract a female by doing extraordinary things. So by seeing her, he was moved to roll over the stone to impress her. That could be part of the story too. But she's impressed, and she ran and tell the story to her father. And now, if the last verse we read, turned out that Laban had two daughters. One is the older one is Leah, and Rachel is a smaller one, little one. And the eyes of Leah are soft. We don't understand what it means really. Could be some disease or some weakness. We don't understand it. The Torah doesn't elaborate. And Rachel was a beautiful, beautiful girl. In fact, Torah, double explanation, was exceedingly beautiful. And Jacob loved Rachel. Now, we end up with two stories of love. Finally, we all know that he married the two girls. Before the Torah was given, it was allowed to marry two sisters. So he did marry Leah, but there was a different relationship between him and Leah, and relationship between Rachel. His relationship with there are two types of love here. The love to Rachel is a romantic love from the first glance. She didn't have to do anything. You just saw her, understood, and fell in love with her. Not so with Leah. Leah, it never said that he loved her. She was the most devoted wife. Rachel passed away young. She remained the master, the lady of the house. She gave him the most prominent sons, Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Judah. She gave him the most prominent sons. And she was a lady of the house. Everybody honored her. Jacob recognized her as a wife, of course, but it never said that he loved her. So she acquired over the years the status of special relationship with Jacob. She worked hard for that. Whereas Rachel earned the love without doing anything. The question is it fair? Is it fair? If you are talking about justice, is it fair that a woman like Rachel gained enormous love just by being there? And Leah, with all her devotion, she finally is the only one who buried with him in Hebron. She gained it, but she can never gain his love. It's a different relationship. Maybe honoring her, recognizing her, respecting her, but not the same love, romantic love that he had towards Rachel. So is it right? And the answer is profound, because when it comes to love, then fairness doesn't work. Justice doesn't work. Because what? Love comes from a higher source. Love comes from a higher source to us than justice. Where does love come from to us? Where is in the Bible the source of love? And here we have to go to the story of Eden. When in chapter 2, it says that HaShem Elohim, the two cherubs, HaShem, the merciful attribute, and Elohim, the attribute of judgment, together, HaShem Elohim, like two cherubs touching each other, wing with love, they recreated the world. And they formed the Garden of Eden together with love. That's the story of Rosh Hashanah. And that's the story of the heavenly court that open up again and again every year between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We are facing the original court of love before the sin. Shem Elohim, the two wings touching each other with love, and Moses depicted them on the Holy Ark, as you know, golden cherubs, one touching each other, One has the face of a boy, one has the face of a girl, looking at each other with love. What kind of love? It was not love of Leah. It was a love modified at model of Rachel. Sensual love. So the source of love, this love that came to us. So when we fall in love with our mate, it looks like we emulate or we follow the footsteps of that original love in Eden. So that's why it's above, when it comes to such a love, justice doesn't play, you cannot judge it by fairness. If I love my wife and I didn't love a friend at a party, I fell in love with just my wife, but not anybody else. Nobody can claim that he was offended. We operate on a level that is higher than even our logic. We cannot explain it. Why we fall in that particular person, but not with the other. This soul matching is from higher level. And that's why Rachel merited this love, but Leah never. It didn't hurt her status in the family. But when it comes to love, it's a different story. Why is this question really important? Why do I spend even time on that? Because the Rambam asks, Maimonides asks, okay, he says, we have a commandment to love HaShem, your God, with all your heart and all your might. HaShem, your God, remember the two cherubs? They love, the two cherubs are glued together with love. Now, the question is, how do we fulfill the mitzvah of loving HaShem? That's a question he asks. Should we follow Rachel and look for romantic love to HaShem, to develop that kind of love? Although it looked very weird. Or should we follow Leah model? And I bet that most people will say right away, oh, Leah is a model. You learn Torah, you indulge in mitzvot, and you earn love by hard work. But that's not what the Rambam says. The Rambam, to our surprise, says completely the opposite. And I read it to you. This is a section from his book, The Laws of Tshuva, Repentance, and chapter 10, if you want to read it there. And I read it to you. HaShem commanded us by Moses, through Moses, you should love HaShem, your God, with all your heart and all your might. How is that love that we are commanded? And I give you the answer, it says. In order to fulfill the commandment, a person should fall in love with HaShem, a great love, a strong love, exceedingly strong love, so much that his soul should be tied with a love to Hashem, that he walk around thinking about it, or making a fool of himself all day long, as if he is sick with a sickness called love. The Rambam, the physicians speak here. I repeat, he has to look like he's fooling himself, and he walk around thinking about God, falling in love with God, as if he's stuck with a sickness called love, which means he goes on. That his mind is not, he cannot stop thinking about that woman all day long, and is fooled by thinking always all day long, thinking about her. When he sits down, when he wake up, when he walk on the road, when he eats, when he drink, because that's what it means. You should love Hashem with all your heart and all your might. And he goes on. And that's what King Solomon said in that song, in Song of Song, that the woman there, she said, I'm looking for my groom because I'm sick with sickness. Cholat la'ava ani. And all the Song of Song that Solomon wrote was exactly for this issue. And he goes on and says, it's a long section, fascinating, because it is known and it's clear to us that the love that a person does not fulfill the commandment of love until his soul is connected to the love of Hashem so much that he is thinking about him all day long, and he will leave everything in the world. Everything in the world will look to him dull and unimportant apart from this thinking about God. That if you reach that level, it means you fulfill the mitzvah with all your heart and all your heart. So for the Rambam, he chose Rachel. He doesn't even mention Leah. Love for him is to come to that level that you romantically tied to Hashem. In fact, I read one of the rabbis said, in fact, a person cannot love Hashem unless he has experienced that with a woman. That's also a fascinating idea. If you haven't experienced with your own life, with your personal spouse or lover, you will never be able to feel love of Hashem. That's an insight for that. Now, the Rambam, let me read on a little bit from the Rambam. The Rambam is aware that you cannot compare falling in love with a woman to falling in love with Hashem. Yeah, Jacob looked at Rachel, and with one glance, the soul connected. Can you do it with Hashem? Hashem has no soul, no face. How can you fall in love with Hashem? So the Rambam, fascinating. He gives you advice. As a physician, he knows human soul, and he gives you an advice. So just get close to God. Isolate, seclude yourself with God. When I read it, I thought They would say, gosh, you know, imagine a boss in the office. He's 50 years old. He has a secretary, fresh secretary, 19-year-old girl, is now working, is entering the office, start working as secretary. At the beginning, nothing happened. He's a boss, he's a secretary. But she's in and out. In short time, they know each other. Not too deep. That's enough to enkindle suddenly something that both of them unexpected. This affair, what we call, stunned both of them. Suddenly, it followed them like a fire in the grass, the rabbi said. And that's not even, both of them, I'm sure, not necessarily planned it, but just the ichud, being together alone. The Rambam hints, be with God alone. Ichud Hashem. Ichud Hashem means one, but Ichud Hashem means being with Hashem alone. Read the Torah, think about Torah. And suddenly it will enkindle, hopefully his love will enkindle your soul. Once you understand his wisdom and the inside of the Torah, it will rob you, it will flare you. That's the advice he gives. And if not, if it doesn't happen, so here is a point. I read many rabbis, many commentaries says, well, if you tried and nothing happened, then you resort to LEAH. Then you start doing mitzvot and Torah, and at least you come to love Hashem like Jacob loved LEAH. You cannot be Rachel, at least you can follow love Hashem with LEAH. The Rambam doesn't say that. For the Rambam, LEAH is not love. For the Rambam, the only way to fulfill the mitzvah of loving God is being Rachel. Because why? Because it will empower you to move the stone. If you want to achieve something by the name of God, this will empower you. Now, I come to in conclusion, I'll come back to the story that Yaakov cried. He cried, and we said he realized he fell in love with Hashem, thinking Hashem emotionally, and looking at his spouse, soulmate, standing in front of him. Both of this feeling to Hashem and to Rachel came on him together. So the crying came out of gush of love. And the Rambam is so right. The Rambam insight to the Torah, he said, this is what love to Hashem is, Rachel. And Hasidic master, when you come to the Shema in the morning, they sit and cry. How much cry? River of tears come out of my, the lit face and they cry. And the whole Hasidic crowd cried after him. When I was young, once I witnessed that. We don't come from Hasidic family, but I watch it. Of course, our family adore it, but we were not formally Hasidic member. But I watch it once. And I asked myself, why are they crying? I say Shema Israel every morning. I was taught in my yeshiva to say it, and nobody told me to cry. But those Hasidim, the Rabbi sit there, and when he come to the Shema slowly, even before that, as he come just to the blessing of the Shema, he lit his face, and he hold his hand, and he start crying, and you see the shoulder trembling, the emotion, loving Hashem with all your heart and your love. It's romantic love, it's emotional love, but you need to be prompt for that. Yes. Actually, the Rambam actually said the level of this love depends how much you know Hashem. The more you know, the more you understand Torah, of course, your love is greater, but it's still emotional. So it's so fascinating that the Rambam, which is such a halachic person, intellectual, dry halachic man, a philosopher, you never speak about emotion. When it comes to love Hashem, look what he say. To fulfill the mitzvah, you need to love Hashem like Rachel, like Jacob loved Rachel. Cry. Okay. I think I'll stop here. It's a wonderful section, and can think more about it. Any question for me so far?
Rabbi, I have a question.
Yes.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Certainly gave me a lot to think about. But one thing I wanted to ask, and maybe you addressed this somewhat, but why is there so much emphasis on the stone? There's almost a whole verse about the stone, and it's mentioned several times, and it's in a few of those verses.
Yes.
Why is the stone so important?
Yeah. So a good question. And I said, on the Midrash, pick it up, and the Midrash said, oh, it's symbolic for Yetzer Hara, it's symbolic for that, it's symbolic for that. The simple explanation, the stone is heavy simply because it explained, it always mentioned in a context where it showed how difficult it was, to emphasize the power of Jacob. It's so heavy that they had to sit there and wait. It's so heavy that they explained to him time and again, oh, we cannot do it, we cannot hold it. And he's rebuking them, but they say, no, we cannot. So the stone is so heavy, and yet when he is empowered, he lifts up like a croc. So it's a symbolic now. Now it can be a symbolic. Once you are empowered with God love, you can lift up any stone. Now the allegorical meaning can play out. Stone can be any obstruction in life. Stone can be Yetzer Hara. Stone can be this or that. Once you are empowered, you can lift it up with finger, like Jacob. So that's become a metaphor out of the context of the story. But first of all, it's in the context of the story, it plays a role. But out of that comes the idea that loving Hashem the right way, nothing will stop you from achieving anything. Good question. Any other question? So, thank you. With all being with me, I appreciate your presence and listening. And have a great July 4th. And God willing, we'll meet maybe next week. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rabbi. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Rabbi. Bye-bye.
Bye.